All right, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I better just spotlight that properly so it doesn't. No, thank you for joining me tonight. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your night to join me for tonight's virtual. I wanted to kind of focus a little bit. I know I certainly do a lot about my kids' lunchboxes, kids' foods, making life easy for us mums to feed our families. But I think that I know that this year I am trying a lot harder to spend a little bit more time worrying about myself on top of everybody else, which is very challenging to do. But it is a focus that I am trying to work really hard on this year. So I thought I would share a little bit with you guys as well. So I know that there are, through the conversations I have, lots of you out there that perhaps struggle to eat as well as we probably could because we are spending all of our time and effort worrying about others. So tonight I want to show you a few different quick and easy recipes that you can prep ahead that will make your weeks a little bit smoother and make sure you're not eating just kids' leftovers and surviving on coffee, as we sometimes are very guilty of, I think. So, thanks again for joining me. We're going to get straight into it. I'd love you to pop in the chat box where you're watching from, and I think you guys all have Thermomix, but what model that you have. Obviously, we are cooking with our TM7 tonight. And we're showing some cookie dough recipes. They're all cookie dough recipes tonight. So that's from our virtual recipe platform, Cookie Dough, and takes us through guided cooking. So everything in our recipe, step by step, each along the way, is exactly to show us exactly what to do. So I think we will start off by, we've got a few different things to make. We're going to make a couple of snacks. We're going to make a breakfast. So one snack, a breakfast, and a couple of lunch options. So we're going to start off with our lunch options. And I have meal planned them all out. So we're just going to scroll down and open this tandoori chicken wrap. So I think wraps is a nice, quick and easy option. We have another kind of more of a full meal, but I know that I love a quick and easy wrap on the weekdays. So you can make this chicken mix ahead, throw it with some lettuce on a nice wrap, and that is your lunch sorted. So as always, if we wanted to, we can scroll down and have a look at the whole recipe, perhaps change the portion size if you wanted to. But we are just going to get straight into it. I forgot to say, but please don't hesitate to pop any questions in the chat box as we are going. I'll answer them as I can. So into the bowl, we are going to place 500 grams of water, which I actually spilt just before we started. So let me just refill that back up. As I was rushing around to get started, of course, I knocked over the half a litre of water. All right, so we're going to throw that straight in the bowl. A bit over is fine on this because we're just using it to steam our chicken. So we're going to hit next, and then we're going to put our varoma into place. Are you ladies, are you using your varoma much to its potential, do you think? I love my varoma. I love layering things up and cooking it in all at once. We're going to put the varoma dish into spot, and then we're going to put about 500 grams of chicken. It says tenderloins. I've just got some cut up chicken breast. So honestly, whatever you've got or whatever you prefer to buy is perfectly fine. It's fine. You don't have to stick with the tenderloins as such. So just grab them out of the fridge. I actually cut mine up a little bit as well because I just find that it steams a bit quicker and a bit more evenly as well. So we're just making sure that when we're putting anything in a varoma, that it's got lots of holes for the steam to escape through. So obviously the meat in the varoma at this stage cooks via steam. So we want to make sure that our steam can rise up and cook all that beautifully. We're going to give that a little season with some salt and pepper. Next, we're going to pop the lid on. Next again, and then we're going to steam that. So it's got it set for us because we're in guided cooking. But 10 minutes, the varoma mode and on speed 1 to steam. Little hot tip, I often turn the speed up for steaming. So the faster the blades are moving, obviously to a maximum of speed 4. You wouldn't want to do it any faster than that, but the more steam it will produce. So I like to turn it up to speed 3, and it just cooks a little bit quicker. So that we're going to leave that to cook away if you wanted to, especially if you are meal planning or prepping for the week, or even doing something else for the kids, you could use all of your steam. So you can add some more chicken if you wanted some other steamed chicken for the week. Perhaps you're making that low-waste chicken lasagna, and you wanted to cook some chicken for that. You could add in your Roma shelf as an extra layer. You could throw some veggies in there if you want some steamed veggies for, a different lunch or dinner for the week. Utilize the steam. Obviously, we're cooking with a cookity recipe, which just tells us our chicken, but we do have that ability to kind of adjust it a little bit and add in an extra layer as we're going. All right, while that's cooking, so that's got that 10 minutes, we are going to move on to our other dish. Very lucky to have a second Thermomix in my kitchen, so we're going to keep on moving. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go, from one, into my week. Perks of being a consultant. At the moment, actually, consultants, we are very lucky to have the opportunity to earn another Thermomix. So I did purchase a second one for my business a little while ago, but I earned my first one, and now we get the opportunity to earn another one. There are lots of great perks to being a consultant if it's something you've ever considered. So this time we're going to scroll down, and we're going to do this Thai pork with green mango salad. So nice, healthy lunch for us, and we can, prepare it as one big dish and then have it for lunch throughout the week. So it does, let me scroll down, make 4 portions. So you can have it for lunch for the entire week if you wanted to. If you are kind of watching, your intake, your calories, your protein, and all those different things, you do have the nutrition information as well. So you can scroll down and have a squiz at that. And obviously you can check your hints and tips as well. But we're going to get straight into it. And we're going to place a bowl onto the mixing bowl lid. So we're going to just utilize our scales to start with. So we're going to pop the lid on and just sit a bowl on the top. So you can do this at any stage as well. If you're prepping something else, for your week or whatever, you can just access your scales, either by putting something on the top, or you can even just pop a bowl on to the base of the machine as well. But we are going to continue on. And then into there it says to weigh 500 grams of pork fillet and some Thai green curry paste. So I have actually done that to let it sit for a little while. So the 500 grams and then the 40 grams of that Thai green curry paste. And then it says to stir to coat and set aside for a minimum of 10 minutes to marinate. So I'll pop that to the side and we're going to continue on. So this is the dressing we're going to make really quickly now. So those of you who have been to my virtuals before or follow me on social media know that I don't do spicy very well. So a little bit of curry paste is more than enough for me. So I'm definitely going to leave out the fresh chilies in this one. And then I'm going to continue on. I don't have that lime leaf either, so I'm just going to skip it out, which is fine. So into there now we are going to put 60 grams of coriander. So it says roots and stems only. That's okay. I'm just going to leave a bit of the leaf in there. I should have read it properly before I started. Okay. I don't know. You guys coriander lovers or not so much? Let me know. Pop it in the chat box. I love it. So then we're going to add in some fish sauce. So we've got very specific 17 grams of fish sauce. I'm a little bit under with the bottom of this bottle, but that's okay. Oh, I'm not saying it. Oh, look at that. Perfect. So that is automatically going to tick off for us there. Then we're going to add in 15 grams of maple syrup. Bit of a different one. And then it says 2 fresh limes. I ran out of time to run outside to the lime tree, so I was in a rush tonight. My husband wasn't home in time, trying to get all the kids sorted. So I've just added some lime juice instead. So always remember, guided cooking is just a guide. If you don't have fresh lime tree, or fresh limes at home, just yeah, use some lime juice. You don't need to buy extra things for these. Like yeah, it might make a slight difference to the taste or the flavor, but it's yeah, not necessarily worth buying the whole thing of. So we're going to chop all that 10 seconds on speed 8. And so just pressing the play button there. You guys made this either of these recipes before? In the chat box and let me know. All right, so that is, I'm just going to, well, it says that is our dressing done, but I'm going to show you that coriander can definitely do with another chop. I'll just show you there quickly. So again, guided cooking, just a guide. If you were happy with the bigger pieces and want to chunk it, you can leave it like that, but I'm just going to give it another go. So I'm going to scroll back up for this to go backwards. There's 3 little dots next to the step. If I tap that and then I can go set as current step, then I can redo it. If I hadn't already pressed next, it actually has an option for repeat. I'll show you in just a second. So if I wasn't so moving forward so quickly, perhaps if I was doing it at home, I would have had a look first. I'm not the most patient person in the world. I would have had a look first and then gone, oh, I think that needs another chop. And then I'm not sure if you can see it particularly well on the screen, but there's a repeat button down there. So if I just tap that, it resets that step for us to do again. So I'll just spread that down and I'll show you. It does kind of leave it still a little bit chunky, but that will be lovely in the salad. So that is our dressing done. So let's skip down. It just says to pop that in a bowl and set aside. So, like I said, if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat box. Next again, we are now placing a litre of water in there. I'm actually going to take it over to the sink to do it be a bit easier. So in our Thermomix bowl, we have got 1 litre, 2 litre, and then max, which is 2.2 litres, marks on the inside of the bowl. So I can just use that to add a litre of water rather than grabbing a jug out to do it. So I'm just adding water up to the 1 litre mark there. Turn that bowl back on. And then we are going to place the varoma into position. So again, popping the lid back on, taking the measuring cup off, popping that varoma on, and then we're going to hit next. So now it's telling us to pop the tray in, which I'll just use this one, and to pop the pork onto the tray. So that marinated pork that we did before, I'm just going to tip that on there. Again, just spreading it out so it cooks nice and evenly. All the steam can escape through. Yeah, and it's not kind of all stuck together too much. It will prompt us to give it a stir, but yeah, obviously we can help ourselves out in the meantime. So just hitting next again, we're going to pop the lid on. Next again, and now we're going to steam that for 7 minutes. Again, it's got that varoma mode set for us, and on speed 2 this time. So that little bit quicker, like I was saying, will help push the steam up. I'm going to just cheat and add it a little bit higher again. These are those things, those of you who have had a Thermomix for a while will know that, you kind of get used to these little things. We all love guided cooking, but once you get more confident with it, you can make these changes that will make things a little bit easier for you, or yeah, adjust it more to your likes and that kind of thing. And we're going to come back to that. We just nailed that timing then. This one's just finished. All right, so we're going to hit done on there. We're going to go to next. And now we're going to give the chicken a quick stir. Actually, I think we're pretty good there. I could just do that last. I think there's about 2 minutes left on this one. All right. I was just breaking up the chicken pieces in there a little bit. We're going to hit next, popping the lid back on, and now we're going to cook for another 2 minutes. And again, I'm going to turn that speed up to speed 3. So those of you who have a previous model Thermomix would notice that the temperatures and the settings for steaming with aroma are a little bit different on the TN7. So whereas before on the previous models, we would turn the temperature right up to what we would call aroma temperature. And then that is the temperature that we needed to create enough steam to cook in our aroma. Now we have a, sorry, I'm just going to let someone. Now we have a specific mode for steaming. So now we have the steaming mode. If I go back out of the recipe for now, and then I go down to the mode screen, we have the steaming mode. So to cook with our aroma to steam, instead of turning the temperature all the way up to aroma temperature like we did on the previous models, we just select steaming and then can adjust it from there. So it won't let me go into it and show you while we're cooking, but essentially you can, I wonder if it'll do it from here. No. So you can adjust it, I'll show you afterwards, so that you just tell it what you're steaming in. So obviously you can just steam in the simmering basket in the Thermomix bowl if you want to, or you can steam in the Varoma, or you can steam with both at the one time, layering up. So when you're setting your steaming mode on the TN7, you just let the machine know which level you are using or whether you're using both. And a wonderful smart machine will make sure it cooks to perfection for you. So that has about 30 seconds left on that one. I've got about 4 minutes left there. So tell me, guys, what are your go-to lunches at the moment? Pop at the chat box and let me know. Do you have something, or are you a bit of a shock of a skipping lunch or getting lunch on the go? Let me know. Do you have any specific Thermomix recipes that you follow or something else? Like I said, it's a work in progress for me. I have previously been very bad at breakfast and lunch and eating the kids' leftovers and that kind of thing, but it is something I'm trying really hard to change this year. All right, so that is done. We're going to hit next, and it's just telling us to set the Varoma tray aside. So our tray is designed so that when we turn it upside down, our lid is designed so that when we turn it upside down, we can sit the Varoma on top, and then that's going to collect any of the condensation that's coming out of the bowl. So it's not going all over the bench, out of the Varoma. All right, so now it's just telling us to pop it aside onto a plate and place it in the refrigerator to cool. I don't bother, I just keep eating with this one. Just leave it in the Varoma. You don't need to create any more dishes for ourselves. We don't need that in our lives. But I am just going to give the bowl a really quick rinse. You don't need to go too crazy, but just give it a rinse after the water. Chicken. All right, so then we will continue on. We're going to hit next, and into there now we are going to actually skip these couple of steps. Well, I'm going to. So this recipe, no words are not coming out very well, does create a little dressing as well to go on the wraps. I honestly don't think it needs it, and it's just another step of something to make that I don't personally, think it needs. So I just skip on past. So we're just going to scroll down, much like when we did before when we went backwards by using the little dots. This time we are going to use the little dots to go forward. So once I get past those couple of steps, so it was just a fresh mint and yogurt dressing. So I'm going to skip past that, and then I'm going to use those 3 little dots. Put them right upside down. Set as current step, and then it'll take us to that one, and we continue on from there. So we are going to place some fresh coriander in the bowl. And it does say some fresh mint as well, but my mint's dead. And I didn't need it for anything else this week, so I am skipping that. Didn't cope with the hot summer, that's for sure. So now we're going to chop up that coriander. So 2 seconds on speed 7. And we're going next again. So now it's just telling us to scrape down the side. So just pushing that chopped coriander back down towards the base. Next again, we are putting in that chicken, which let's say it's chilled. Next again. And now we're going to put in some tandoori paste. So are you guys making your own tandoori paste at the moment with your Thermomix? It's so easy to make. There's a couple of different, there's obviously a cookie dough recipe to make the paste, but then there's quite a few different recipes on cookie dough which you use the paste. And it's absolutely delicious. And again, you can adjust it to suit you. So because I'm precious, I leave out a bit of the chili in it. So it's a very mild paste, but obviously you could up it if you like the chili, make it to have you like. It's a lot cheaper to make. So you probably have most of the ingredients in your cupboard. Sorry, I should keep doing this as I'm talking. I'll just hear those scales because I'm bumping this bench. Super easy to make and yeah, super delicious. And it makes quite a bit as well. So it lasts really well in the fridge, or you could freeze it if you wanted to. Yeah, like I said, there are a few different cookie dough recipes that ask for it. So. And then we are going to put 40 grams of natural yogurt in there. Obviously, you could be making your yogurt yourself as well. I have not got back into that for the school year yet. I need to. So that's fine. I'm just going to use some thought tonight. And then we're going to shred that. So this is what we're starting with here. The chicken, the coriander, the yogurt, and the tandoori paste. And now we're just going to shred. So 2 seconds on reverse and speed 5. So obviously our blades are sharp on one side and blunt on the other. So by going in reverse, it's kind of tearing it up, shredding it rather than chopping it really fine. So you can check that if you needed to. You could add a few more seconds, but that's done. So that's our tandoori chicken mixture. And we are going to serve that with some mixed lettuce on a wrap, and we'll do that in a little bit. That is finished. I'm just going to bring this one back over for a second because that just finished. And I'm pretty sure we're just giving it a stir now, so we'll just keep that going. So it says to remove the varoma tray with the pork and set aside. And then we're going to add some beans into the dish. So we are adding about 200 grams of trimmed green beans in there. Let's see my scales. I haven't teared them again. A little bit under. So grab a couple more because I want to. So I'll just finish it up. I've got them here. And of course, you could change this around a little bit too if you wanted, if you don't like beans or, there was something else you had in the fridge that you wanted to use up. You can absolutely change things up a little bit. Remember, like we say, guided cooking, just a guide. So then we're going to pop the tray back in, the lid back on, and then we're going to set it to cook again. So I've got another 7 minutes on the varoma speed. This is how I was showing you before. I'm not sure. Hopefully you can see that there. So if you wanted to, if you had something else cooking in the bowl, in the simmering basket, you could change it to simmering basket. If you were using both, you would, sorry, upside down again. you would pick that picture where it's got the both icons on it. But we'll just leave it as is because we're just using the aroma. Just going to turn that speed back up again and leave that to cook. So I'm just going to give this bowl a quick wash again, and then we will get started with the next recipe. If you got any questions, pop them in the chat box for me. Just going to pop our chicken aside because we'll serve it up in a minute when we're all finished. I wish you could smell this tandoori chicken from your couch, though. It's absolutely delicious. The tandoori paste, I'm obsessed with it. It's great, especially this time of year. You can use it to make your own like kebabs or barbecue skewers. You can add a bit of there is a cookadoo recipe to talk you through it, but it's very similar. You know, adding your own the tandoori paste and some natural yogurt, and it's a great one. And then there's the creamy chicken curry, which is delicious. Yeah, there's a few different ways you can use it. You could just do like some tandoori chicken fillets and like put them on pizzas. Like really, the options are endless. We're going to make a little breakfast next. Tell me, is breakfast something you are good at or you skip often or you don't particularly like to eat? What do you do for breakfast at the moment? Again, I'm a shocker for having coffee for breakfast on those crazy school mornings. But when I do take the time to make something ahead like this recipe, it's a game changer. Keeps me full for the morning, gets me off on a much better start, and it's delicious too. So this is a good one to prep, you know, in the evening. You get around 4 days worth out of it, and it's nice and easy. So we're going to go back to our home screen. And here we have our apple and almond overnight oats. So these are a really good one for your gut health. There is a lot of information in the tips about why. The oats, apples, and almonds are great sources of prebiotics, so help feed the good bacteria in your gut, etc. So have a little read of that. There's quite a bit of information that's written by dietitians on there of why this particular recipe is so great for your gut. But we are just going to get started. The one thing I do with this recipe, as we're going through it, I'll explain further, but it asks you, so you make the overnight oats and then it prompts you to the next day or when you're eating it to chop some almonds and to cook a little bit of fruit down. I don't do that. Obviously, again, just don't have the time in the mornings. I want it ready to go for the mornings to be able to just have on the run without having to, you know, turn my Thermomix on, create more dishes and all that kind of thing in the morning. So what I do is chop those almonds first. So it is step 5 on the recipe. So if I'm on the recipe screen here, I'm just going to tap step 5 and it prompts me if I want to start cooking there and I'm going to hit yes. So I just, chop them now. I even just put them on top in the jars to go in the fridge, but you could, I think they work perfectly like that. But if you wanted to keep them separate until the morning, you could. And then obviously just throw them on already chopped in the morning. So we're going to place that 40 grams of almonds in there. Next, and we are going to chop them. Zoom will mute me out for this little noisy chop. 3 seconds on speed 5. So then we're going to set them aside. You'll see that's just giving them a real rough chop. If they're still nice and chunky, they add a really nice crunch to the top of your overnight oats. And then from here, I like to just, the quickest way I find, if I use the back button, it takes me back to the main recipe screen. And then it tells me that I'm up to step number 12 or 15. I just press the cross next to it because I'm going back to step 1 to start again now that I've cut them. It's going to confirm that I want to quit out of it, and then I'm just going to hit start and start from step 1. So I've just taken, that couple of seconds to chop those, saves me doing it in the morning. And yeah, something extra. And taking away that extra something we don't need to worry about in the morning. So now I'm going to put 80 grams of almonds in the bowl. So remember, this is 4 servings that we are making for this one. And we're going to mill those down this time. So 8 seconds on speed 8. Again, Zoom will mute me out for this, so I'll talk to you in a second. And we're going to hit next. So you can see that just that difference in time and speed, what a difference in what it does to the almonds. So we've made kind of like an almond meal here essentially by milling them up. And then we're going to add apple. So just cored, I've left the skin on and cut into pieces. So it says 1 apple and approximately 160 grams. So you could just add 1, or you can open the scales that are on the right-hand side there and kind of check. My apples were a bit on the smaller side. So that would have been 1, which is only 80 grams. So I've done 2, which takes me just over, which is perfect. Oh, no, just under this time. So we are then going to grate them up a little bit, 2 seconds on speed 5. Next. And now we're going to pop in the rest of our ingredients. So this really only takes probably 5 minutes to prep. And then you've got breakfast for most of the week sorted. So 100 grams of rolled oats. See what the next step is on the other one just before filling. That's all right, we'll come back to that in a second. We'll finish this one first. So 100 grams of rolled oats. I might just check that it isn't. And then 40 grams of chia seeds. So 550 grams of the milk of your choice. It does say non-dairy. Again, there is information. It says see tips there, and you can have a read of why. My personal preference is oat milk. That's just what I like to use, and we use for the kids' smoothies and things. I just find it's nice and light on their tummies too. I always have fruit milk on hand. We love a morning smoothie. That's one of our other go-tos in our house, especially for the kids, but I just throw everything in. I don't really sometimes follow a recipe, but sometimes a lot of the time just throwing in what's on hand. About a tablespoon of maple syrup and a pinch of salt. Ooh. My mess is piling up out here. Kicking those off, hitting next, and now we're going to combine that 5 seconds on speed 3, but on reverse this time. So we're not mushing everything up anymore. So yeah, that's pretty much it done, the overnight oats. So it does say to set the mixing bowl aside for 10 minutes just to let it sit and absorb a little bit of the liquid. So we'll come back to that in a second. But that's otherwise, we're just going to put that in the bowls next. So really, really quick and easy brekkie. That is really good for you. Yeah, it takes very little time. Okay, so I finished that step. So now it just tells us to remove the varoma, place the beans and pork into a large bowl and retain the liquid in the mixing bowl. So let's take that off. I'm just going to grab another bowl out. So these are our newer style thermo servers I've got. They are available as Fresh Rewards at the moment for $25 just for hosting a demo. So you can use one of my virtuals. I do have another virtual running next week if you want to get your hands on one, or I can organise your own. I'm a bit limited in in-home demos, but if you are interested, please let me know and I can organise something for you. All right, so we are putting those aside. I better get the lid. They have the new style ones, and the thing I love about them is that you can. It does have a silicone holder that you pop around the handles to keep the lid on as well. So if you want to take them to another person's house, or you're saving them for dinner that night, and you just want that lid really firmly on it, it'll keep it nice and hot. It's perfect. I find it seals like the old style didn't seal particularly, but these new ones with the silicone ring are great. So I've done that. And into the bowl now, we are going to put 125 grams of vermicelli noodles. The first salad. We are just going to put them straight in. I think it's about 100-gram packet, this one, so that's okay. Again, it is extra for the sake of it. So next it's just telling us to aid that with the, sorry, get a bit ahead of myself, don't I? Stir it with the aid of a spatula. Just to get those noodles into that hot water, that boiling water, and then just set it aside for 2 minutes. So we will do that until the noodles are soft. And then we're going to drain them. We're going to add them in with the pork and the beans, and then we're going to top with some green mango cut finely, some cherry tomatoes cut in half, and some basil. And then drizzle our dressing over the top to combine. Add some roasted peanuts on the top, and it's done. So I'm going to set that aside. We've got one last snack to show you, and then we're all done too. So that's nice and easy. So we are going to say that's our 10 minutes of setting that aside. And then I just use some leftover jars, some recycled jars for this kind of thing. So I've got some old jam jars that I have going to use. To pop my overnight oats into. So obviously they'll continue to soak up that extra bit of liquid overnight. I know they look super appealing now, don't they? But I can promise you they are absolutely delicious. And like I said, then we go on. The next step of this one is to chop to wash the bowl and then chop the almonds the morning of, but we've done that already. Then the last step is actually to pop in some frozen berries and to heat them for the top of it. Again, this is completely personal preference. I don't do it. I just add in, making a good mess here. I just add in some fresh berries on the top, just some fresh chopped strawberries. I find is absolutely delicious. And again, I just don't need anything extra in the mornings. And I don't want any extra dishes either. So that is our overnight oats. I'm going to pop them aside and we'll come back and finish them off and serve them up very shortly too. Just going to grab a cloth for my mess. And then we're going to finish off with a nice, delicious, nice treat of a snack for us. And then we are all done. So I'm going to give that bowl a quick rinse. Do you guys often make your own snacks, or is it something that you just find in the pantry, or do you have some of the kids? Do you skip it completely? Let me know up at the chapel. All right, so I'm going to go back out of that recipe now. See if it's okay. Back to our home screen, and this time I am picking this raw Snickers slice. So again, like always, we can scroll down. You can increase the serving size if you want to double it. You know, if you are making it to share at an event or something like that. You can scroll down, check your notes and different things. Otherwise, I'm just going to here, oops, press the wrong one, start cooking. So it does tell us to place a bowl onto the mixing bowl lid. On the top. I'm going to add that little bowl on the top. Next, bowl's not going to sit particularly well, but that's okay. We're going to add in 250 grams of pitted medjool dates. And pick the best bowl to sit on the top there, did I? You can, you know, if you needed to, if you wanted to use that bowl, you can just add a little a plate on the top and then sit it on. It's just because of the cup on the lid that it's not going to sit evenly. And then next we're going to cover those with boiling water and then set aside. So it's the boiling water I preferred earlier. Cover that. And we're just going to pop them aside for a moment. And then we are going to line a tray, which I have already done. Oh, actually, I haven't, but that's fine. We can do that in a minute. And then we're going to place some peanut butter in there. So 130 grams of peanut butter. Obviously, you can make your own as well. Peanut butter is just not something we use particularly often. So I usually have just a jar sitting around. That will do, just under is fine. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. Not very particular with my teaspoon measurements if you haven't already gathered that. Taking those off and then put it on my fingers now. 75 grams of coconut oil. So I have found when making this that you don't need to melt it if it's not already. And this weather, it's obviously a bit smoother anyway, but it doesn't need to be in liquid form. It combines really well anyway. Smidge more. All right, and then we are pressing next on that. Oops, getting ahead of myself. We're going to add in our drained dates. I'm going to just drain those really quickly. Obviously, we were not quite at the 10 minutes of soaking them then, but that's okay for this example. Next again, and then we're going to chop all that. So 10 seconds on speed 7. Next, we are going to add in 30 grams of peanuts. I've also made this mixing up the nuts a little bit. So last night I did, or yesterday when I made one to show you a finished one, I did a combination of peanuts and cashews, which was really lovely. And then, where did I put my extra bowl? And then we are adding in 20 grams of puffed rice. And then we're going to combine that again. So 20 seconds, this time on reverse, because obviously we don't want to chop up that those peanuts and rice puffed rice. Reverse 2.5 we're doing this time. So grab out that dish while we're talking. So yeah, it was absolutely delicious, even changing up the nuts a little bit. So just do what suits you. And then we are going to put that into the dish. So again, it looks so appealing. But that is our slice mixture. And what I'm going to do, then we're just going to really quickly melt some dark chocolate to pop on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it in the bowl for the dish here for a second. And rinse out the bowl and start that chocolate. And then I'll press out the slice mixture while the chocolate's melting. So again, a really super easy and quick slice. Obviously no bake as well. You just want to pop it in the fridge, perhaps overnight, to set the chocolate and firm it up a little bit. But a really quick and easy raw Snickers slice. So it's a nice little treat for you. Might have to hide it from the kids though. My problem when I try and do something for myself, I find the kids are always into it. Even the things I think that they wouldn't normally like. I think it's just because it's a novelty because Mum made it for herself. Does anyone else find that? That then they decide they like it. All right. Actually, I need to give that a little bit more of a dry because I don't want my chocolate to seize up. So I'm just going to grab out some paper towel. So you just want to make sure your bowl is quite dry when you're melting chocolate so that it doesn't seize. So next it says clean and dry the mixing bowl, and then we're going to put in 170 grams of dark chocolate. Next, it's telling us to grate up that dark chocolate for 10 seconds. I'm just going to skip this step just in case there is a bit of moisture in the bowl. I find then it all sticks together and goes a bit funny. So, and when I'm using small chocolate chips, I find that it honestly doesn't really need it. If you're using like the bigger melts, it does work better if you grate it up. But otherwise, we're just going to move on to the melt step. So 1 minute 30, 60 degrees, speed of 2. So we are pretty much just about finished here. I'm just going to press this out so that we can add the chocolate on the top. Then I'll show you the finished product of everything. And then we're done. So they're really, really quick and easy recipes. I mean, even like the pork that there's a little bit more cooking time. The hands-on time, the preparation time is very minimal. So it is a great one to make it the start of the week and then have your lunch through the week. That kind of thing. All right, so we've done that. I'm just going to grab out another spatula for the chocolate when that's done. Such a mess, as always. Would it be one of my demos if I didn't have a giant mess? I'm just going to drain out those noodles as well, and then we'll toss all that together to finish. So you can see it's nearly all melted, but there are some chocolate chips that have just popped up around the side. Terrible at lining the bowl up from behind it. You're so used to standing in front of it when you're cooking. So I'm just going to push those chocolate chips back down towards the base, and then I am just going to repeat that step. So again, I can just, because I didn't hit next this time, I can just hit repeat. It will reset, so I only have to press start. All right, I'm just going to make a bit of space. Then we will dish it all up. So we've got our bean and our pork mixture in here. I'm now going to add those noodles in. We also are adding, remember we talked about the mango and the tomatoes. So I'm going to add them in as well. And I couldn't get green mango in my grocery, so I've just used normal mango, which I love in a salad. Does anyone else just love mango in a salad? And some basil. Now we are going to just toss all that together. I still a year later getting used to how quiet the TM7 is. For a moment then I had a brief second of panic thinking I didn't start that because I actually cannot hear the TM7 melting that chocolate at the moment. So I was like, oh, I haven't pressed start. And then where did I put our dressing? I'm going to add in that dressing as well. So this recipe said, remember that it served 4. I think it'll be 4 quite large servings if I'm being honest there. Might even do us for the whole week. Then you mix up that. But I think this is a good one that could definitely, you could eat it now warm if you wanted to, but otherwise served cold as like a salad dish for lunch would be absolutely beautiful. So we were going to serve that, add a couple of little peanuts. You could add a bit more lime to the top if you wanted to. Some fresh lime perhaps, that would be really nice. But otherwise, let me come back to what it was called. That one was our Thai pork with green mango salad. So it's from the diabetes collection on Cookie Do, but absolutely that does not matter. It just means it's a nice, healthy kind of low carb, but hitting all the other options recipe, high protein, that kind of thing to keep you full. So that is that one. We are going to add our chocolate onto the top of our slice. So that's finished. So you can see there. With the lighting, that chocolate is beautifully melted there. So just spreading that on the top. And then, yeah, like I said, that just needs to go in the fridge. Perhaps overnight is the best to let it kind of firm up a little bit. Obviously, those dates were hot after we soaked them as well. So while it's a no-bake recipe, it definitely does need a little bit of time in the fridge to let it firm up. But here is one I prepared earlier. So like I said, this one I did add some cashews in with it as well, just to mix things up a little bit. And I did halve it too. So again, if it's just you and you only want a little bit, well, Cookie Do, the actual recipe itself, the portion size of it did let you double it. It didn't have the option for halving, but I just did it as I went. So obviously just added half of whatever I needed. There is that slice that I prepared yesterday. I'm just going to cut off a bit for you so you can have a look inside. So yeah, I just used one of the bread, the loaf tins. So then it was a perfect size for a half recipe. So there is that raw Snickers slice. Absolutely delicious. Yeah, like I said, a really nice little treat or snack for you to have. Then we are going to go with our overnight oats. So we've got the rest of those. So again, that's 4 servings of the overnight oats. I cut up the almonds earlier so I don't have to do them on the day of it. And I just pop them on now before I put it in the fridge. Again, like I said, you can just pop it, in a airtight container and leave it on the bench and do it in the morning if you wanted to. But I pretty much just do everything that I can to make my mornings less chaotic. And putting the almonds on now is just one little thing I don't have to think about in the morning. So pop those in the fridge overnight and they're ready in the morning. And this is the one I prepared earlier. So you can see it is that bit thicker. Like I said, I then just pop on some fresh berries. So I don't worry about the cooking down of some frozen berries and adding some warm berries to the top. I honestly just find it doesn't really need the extra sweetness that provides, but and I certainly don't need the extra little bit of time to kill in the morning for that. It's beautiful and thick this morning after sitting, or this evening after being in the fridge overnight. So now still a little bit runny, thickens up beautifully, and it's a beautiful breakfast, healthy breakfast for the morning. And like I said, really good for your gut. And then lastly, we have our wrap. So I'm just going to quickly grab out a plate for that. What have I done with my wraps here? Actually going crazy. Can't see where I put my wraps. Just grab another one out. All right, so just using a wrap again. You can, if you want to, you can make your own wraps. I don't for my midweek meals because it's just me using them in the middle of the week, so I don't bother. But you absolutely can. So I use some mixed salad leaves, a little bit of cucumber that I've just kind of shaved off a little bit with my peeler, and then adding that chicken mixture. So that's that tandoori shredded chicken that we're just going to add in there then. So having this again pre-prepared, the chicken pre-prepared, you're just grabbing a wrap out and literally it's taking you that long to make your lunch, that kind of 2 minutes, grabbing her out, chucking some lettuce on the top. You could add a couple of peanuts, would be really nice as well, just to give it that little bit of crunch. But there is a nice, healthy, and really quick on the day lunch that you can just grab and keep going with whatever you are doing. So that is us covered for tonight. So yeah, we've got the tandoori chicken, shredded chicken for our wraps. Obviously you could use it in a sandwich or anything as well. We have our Thai pork with green mango salad, so we can have for our lunch during the week as well. We have our raw Snickers slice, and we have our overnight oats. Got you covered, guys. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope it's been a helpful virtual for you tonight. I hope that you have learned something new or given you some new ideas or inspiration to try some new recipes that will be good for you and help look after yourself a little bit better perhaps as well. So once again, thanks for joining me. I hope to see you next week. Next week I'm doing some quick and easy family dinners to try and fit in with our busy lives. So I'd love to see you on that. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. If you've got any questions at all, you want to learn more about getting a TM7 in your kitchen or about any of these recipes, please reach out. I will send an email through with all of the details. Thank you. Yes, definitely try them, Brie. They are delicious, and yeah, a couple of minutes to whip up, and breakfast is ready for on the run in the morning. Thanks, ladies. Thank you so much for joining. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.